we're gonna start by priming our face, and here I'm using the new Hangover 3-in-1 Replenishing Priming and Setting Spray by Too Faced. Moving on, I'm using one of my favorites foundations, which is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Ink Foundation, and I'm on shade 6.5, and I literally just grab this in the back of my hand and start dabbing it in my face, and I'm just gonna blend away with my beauty blender. Blend, blend, blend. I really like this foundation because I have a combination skin, so I get oily in my T-zone, but I'm very dry on the rest of my face, so I think it's perfect for my skin type. Then moving on, we're gonna conceal this very dark under eye circles, and for that I like using the Becca Aqua Luminous Perfecting Concealer, and I literally just apply this under my eyes, a little bit my forehead, run it down through my nose, chin, and I like this concealer for correcting and concealing little dark spots that I have in my face from any previous breakouts. And I'm just gonna blend away. And you just dab until everything is blended. This is a very sheer to medium coverage, but I really like it because it's very light on my skin, so it doesn't really feel heavy. However, whenever I want a little bit of more highlight, I like using my Tarte Double Duty Shape Tape Contour Concealer. So I'm basically gonna apply very little amount of it everywhere where I already conceal with the Becca one, just to brighten the skin a little bit more. I really like this concealer, but when I apply too much of it, it tends to feel a little bit thick on my skin. So for that reason, I really like to apply a very minimum amount. Now I'm gonna set everything with my Laura Mercier loose translucent setting powder. So I'm gonna apply this with a brush first everywhere where I use the concealer, and I'm using very small amounts just to make sure that everything is set. After this, I like to use a little bit more, sort of like baking, but with my beauty blender, and I'm only doing this under the eyes area just because I prefer to do my foundation first. However, we're gonna do some bright colors for the eyeshadow portion, and baking under the eyes will prevent from any fallouts ruining your makeup. And yes, so we're finally gonna use the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe eyeshadow palette, and I'm gonna start by using a very light transition color. So I'm using the third brownish from the first row, and I'm applying this with a very soft and long bristles blending brush. I decided to zoom you in a little so that you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Then I'm gonna move to grab a smaller blending brush. This is just by MAC, and I decided to grab a little bit of the darker eyeshadow shade just to intensify and build up the transition color in the crease. I like doing this because it's better when you start with lighter colors and then you build it up towards the intensity that you prefer. Yes, as you see here, I start using a darker, even darker brownish shade just to intensify the transition in my crease, and just keep blending and blending. And throughout this video, you will see that I'm only doing or showing you one of the eyes, just so that I don't make the video way too long. Now we're gonna start with the darker eyeshadow colors, and I grabbed that very dark green shade. However, although the brownish shades were blending very easily, I was struggling a little bit with this greenish shade. And I know that I applied very little, but even though I grabbed a very small amount, it was a little bit harder to blend. That's why I decided to not keep applying anymore and just work with the amount that I had already applied. Now I'm just grabbing a flat eyeshadow brush and I apply a little bit of Fix Blast, and then I dip into the bright green, shadow, shimmery shadow in the palette. However, the brush wasn't giving me a good payoff in color, so I decided to switch to my finger. And I really like the application better with your finger for this color. I think it's just easier to deposit this color in your eyelid with your finger, and probably you prevent from wasting more product and then just creating more fallout. I just grabbed the brush again just to make sure that the end of the shadow it's just a little bit more blended, and then I went back to my blending brush and grab a little bit of the brownish shade, the last brownish shade that we used, just to make sure that everything blends a little bit better. So that's what you see me doing here. Now when I feel that everything is blended, then I went ahead and remove my baking, and I'm just going to grab a very flat definer brush and grab the middle brown shade that I applied and just run it along my eyelash, my lower eyelash. Then I switched to a pencil brush with the same brownish shade and I just started blending away. Now this eyeshadow I didn't apply in the top, but I decided to apply a little bit on the bottom just to create a little bit more pop-up color. Then I went back to the first brush that I used just to blend everything away. Then yes, I grabbed the lightest white pearl shade in the palette. However, it was a little bit too light for my skin color, but I managed to make it work. Then I grabbed the pinkish shade to highlight in my tear duct. It works honestly perfectly. And even though you don't have to have a clean line, I sometimes prefer to have more of a straight line with this eyeshadow makeup looks. So I just grab a little bit of a concealer and then just clean it up. However, it's good to still blend it a little because you don't want to have like a very straight line. Then for my eyeliner, I really like the Sephora long lasting 12-hour wear eyeliner. So I just start by applying a very somewhat thin line along my eyelash line. And to do this, I really like to start in the center and then I just work my way towards the right and left. I just created a very subtle wing, nothing really too crazy. And as I move closer to the tear duct, I like to make it thinner. I pretty much just line very gentle on my eyelash line. Then we're gonna curl our lashes, and then I'm applying this very natural eyelashes by Ardell. I put a little bit of glue, let it dry, and then just set them in place. You can probably do more dramatic eyelashes, but honestly, sometimes I just feel like less lashes is better. It depends. It depends on your taste. Then I'm just applying a little bit of my Better Than Sex mascara by Too Faced. And I know I'm doing this after I put the fake lashes, but when it comes to lashes that are not so expensive like the Ardell ones, I prefer to do this because when you apply the mascara together with your lashes, they blend a little bit better and then creating a more natural look. As you can see here, the lashes don't look any dramatic per se. Then I'm just gonna grab my Makeup Forever Pro Bronzer Fusion and just start contouring my cheeks a little bit. Nothing really crazy. I'm pretty much more bronzing. I'm not creating any harsh lines. Just defining my face a little bit better. Just keep blending. I really like this bronzer because I feel that you can really build it up to your taste. You don't really have to worry about applying too much of it because every time you dip your brush into the bronzer, a little bit of product comes along and it's very easy to blend. So you can really build it up to your liking. And for someone who was barely starting on contouring or bronzing, I think this is a perfect bronzer for that. So here I'm just evening out both of the cheekbones. Then I start applying a little bit of my jawline to make sure that everything combines better. And I'm going to zoom you out a little so that you can have a better view of the entire look. Yes, you keep putting on your jawline and a little bit of on your neck to make sure that everything blends together. You don't want to have a harsh line. And I apply a little bit on your forehead line. Nothing too crazy. Just make sure everything is blended. And make sure that you always connect the end of your cheekbones to your forehead line wherever you applying the bronzer. Now we're gonna do blush, and for that I'm using one of my favorites by MAC in the shade Melba. I really like this blush because it really goes with any look that you do. It's nothing too crazy. It's a little bit on the pinkier side, but it's easy to blend. I like to start by depositing my brush on the apples of the cheek and then just slowly dragging it towards the back. And then I just grab quickly a clean brush just to make sure that everything blends. And then we're going to use the Oh Darling by MAC, one of their extra dimension Skinfinish with a fan brush. I just start applying this in the top of my cheekbones. I really like using a fan brush with my highlight because I feel it applies a little bit better on the contours of the top of your cheekbones. Then just with my finger, I use a little bit of the highlight on the tip of my nose and also on the bridge of my nose, a little bit of my cupid bow. And then we're gonna do lips. Yes, I'm using my very old dear teddy bear by MAC. Yeah, you have no idea. This is one of my favorite nudes. And just to top it off, I'm just using the lip gloss by Kylie Cosmetics in the shade Kimi, her collab with Kim Kardashian. I like to use this on top of my teddy bear just because it adds a little bit more of a pinky tone to the lips. Not too crazy, just a little bit of more color and a little bit more of a shine. Yeah, we're pretty much done. Then I use the Fix Plus as my makeup setting spray just because I love this thing. You can honestly use anything. Yeah, we're done. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next time.